And
Oh my God.
There it goes, 1, 2, 3.
and I was signaling, and look, boom, look at this thing. So we remote viewed this craft, you really couldn't see anything, and then all of a sudden, it signals back. And that is not a satellite or an aircraft. This is a beam that appeared on the beach, and look at it has two eyes, and it's a light beam, with like a halo around it. Can we dim the lights in here? And what I want to do is go through some of these images. I'd like to play all of this. This is just a collection of some of the material that we've gotten over the years. And it's sort of like a retrospective from last fall all the way through to 1992. Let's go to this. I want to show, we trained someone on our team who's an artist actually, and he was doing the CE5 initiatives. And look at this thing that appeared in broad daylight that he got out of his vehicle and took a picture of it. Again, the resolution is not very good with this projector, but it's crystal clear, and it followed him. And it's interesting because last year from the French government, I got a drawing of a craft identical to this that was drawn by someone who had a close encounter in 1968, I believe, 66 or 68 in France. And that was released by the French Space Agency in Japan. After Disclosure Project got them encouraged to do so. Now, this is a classic one that I showed yesterday, but I think a lot of people weren't here. I do want to show it just to give you a sense of what happened. We did a one-day training out on the beach near Pensacola, and these appeared.
Yeah, he went in the same signal. Watch.
Can we turn off these spotlights?
Oh my God.
There it goes. 1, 2, 3.
There eventually were 4 that came. Oh, that's better. And they were 30 to 40 foot diameter craft. They're very close. This is just an old high 8 camera.
Confirmed CE5.
And they were signaling to us as we signaled to them.
Look at that star.
Yeah, they were making a triangle.
They were sort of a reddish orange with a sort of blue corona, and they were disc-shaped. And
Oh, look, did you see it do that? It's like, look, the top one. They're signaling. They are floating towards us, friend.
we had 2 Air Force pilots with us.
Then they saw the
These were silent, moving against a pretty stiff wind.
There are 3 there. I have confirmed that there are 3. Do we?
Got him. I've got him. And look, there's 4. There's 4. There's 4. Holy damn hot shit. Dog.
Thank you.
All right.
Now, what's interesting about this that isn't captured on film
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
is that as they were approaching, the ETs dematerialized from the craft and appeared in the parking lot as these sort of astral etheric forms. And the people who saw that were so freaked out, there were some women jumped in their pickup truck and roared back to town. And that was very real, and our electronics were going off there as well. Here's an object, a person that we trained was in Santa Fe, and she was doing a contact, inviting them to come, and she felt them and just took her camera, this is the daytime, and took a picture of this object moving very quickly, and outside Santa Fe, New Mexico. Seamless, it has no rivet structures, but it's a sort of a domed disc. Some little things here, it looks like a CCA triangle there. But there's, this was moving, they think, at about 500 miles per hour. It's been analyzed very thoroughly. And these sort of things happen to our team members all over the world all the time. And one of the things, I want to show this one because when I decided to move near Thomas Jefferson's home, those of you who don't know, Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, and his home is Monticello near the University of Virginia, and I have a farm there. The day I decided to move there, this appeared in a field 6 years after the one in England, and it's the best crop circle ever in North America, and it's a variation on a theme of the Sea-City Triangle, which we could do a whole 5-hour thing on this triangular shape, tetrahedrons, pyramids, sacred geometry. But this appeared in the field of the man who sold us the house that we bought, the farm that we bought, on his family's property. It was the ET saying, welcome. This was on the front page of the local paper, by the way, that crop circle. Now, one of the things that was, let's see. I want to show this picture for a good transdimensional one. A couple weeks before we did the National Press Club event, where there were nearly 1 billion people who saw these top secret military people at the National Press Club in Washington, we went to Joshua Tree to make contact and to invite the ETs to guide and protect us. And we went to a cave that Raven had found. And as we left, this appeared. This beautiful cobalt blue it wasn't fully materialized. And this is the spirit of Sherry Adamak, who is my dear friend and who helped me start this project in the early 90s. And she was murdered by Majestic. I and she and Congressman Schiff all got metastatic cancer, and Bill Colby was murdered. I'm the only person left living from those early days. And I have a bit of survivor guilt, I guess. But Sherry was there in spirit right above the cave where we had done a puja and meditation for universal peace. What we're doing is just so beautiful. It's beautiful. It will change your life forever. Now at Shasta, a few years ago, about 5 years ago, some tones appeared all around us. And in the tones, very similar to the crop circle tones. And when this came out of, we were in a meditation inviting the ETs to come. Every person who heard it saw in their mental imaging the spheres, a group of spheres moving along that were ET vehicles. And so this was like a Vedic manifestation. With the naked eye, you could see nothing. But in your mental image, you actually saw the craft, and this is the tone that created the image in your mind. This is really amazing technology the ETs have. When we were at Joshua Tree about 2 months ago, we actually had these tones and also the tones from the crop circles that appeared at the site where I did a puja and out in the middle of the national forest. It was amazing. And we have recording of that as well, but it didn't make it into this yet. This is a really amazing thing that came onto my farm. We had a training there a couple years ago in '06, about 5 years ago, 4.5. And this thing came out of space. I'm looking up. This is me. This is Dr. Bravo. And look, and there's an extraterrestrial communication probe that then I actually saw the craft above us. You can see me looking up. And this thing comes in, and then it's there in a transdimensional way, and it's a transdimensional electronic device that was scanning the group. It was in the center of the group. We're in a circle. And this is what came in, and we've had many of these come in that you can see with your naked eye, but they're very fast. This came in from space. It was like 1/58th of a second. So you got to really, really be awake. Now, one of the things I want to show, because we have a person on our team in Australia, is that often the craft will appear in the ultraviolet range, not visible with the naked eye. She took a photograph of a craft. Her dog actually wanted, and here's this strange object there was a body of water, and this craft appeared, and it has a blue corona around it. She felt it, but she couldn't see it. So she took a picture with her camera, and this is what was in the film. So frequently the ETs will be dematerialized, but they'll be there in an energy form, both their craft and their beings, that will be faster than the speed of what your eyes can see. Because remember, your eyes only see a very narrow range of the visible spectrum. Let's go. I want to show. I wanted to show some of these. They're incorrectly called orbs. They're actually craft. This is a mislabel. And I was signaling, and look, boom. Look at this thing. So we remote viewed this craft. You really couldn't see anything, and then all of a sudden, it signals back. And that is not a satellite, or an aircraft, or swamp gas, or Venus, or Superman. Yeah. So this can happen several hundred times a day, a night. Here, look at this that came in right into the field. It's a sea-city triangle. This is a ship that came in at the crossing point of light, right at the edge of the speed of light, and it's actually about 100 feet from our group. After this, there were ET beams. There they are again. Look how close they are. These trees are about 100 feet away or less. So these are the kind of phenomena that you see that we're getting. And when this happens, it's very fast. Afterwards, there'll be this energy field. And we can sometimes be out in the desert where it's 30, 40 degrees. And the ET vehicle will begin to materialize around us transdimensionally. And the temperature will go up to 60, 70 degrees. You have to take your coat off. And look at this right here in front of the tree, how quickly. So these are the transdimensional entries of craft that are at the edge of the speed of light. And they're partially materialized in this plasma type of energy. And here's one right in the field. And you actually will see it's very close. And when you see something like this and you're in the middle of a wilderness, you go, holy Christ. And then you realize with your inner sight and your subtle celestial vision, these are all around us. Now, one of the things I wanted to share is the Orion transmissions of a couple years ago. We were out in Joshua Tree, and I had initiated contact using this sphere, crystal.
Now they're confirming.
These are the tones coming from the Orion sector.
Master control craft from the deep space.
We're in the middle of an 800,000 national park, no electromagnetic signals, cell phones, nothing, dead. All of our detectors start going off after we make conscious contact. And what we have then are objects that start appearing in the sky and in the air around us that are signaling.
Simultaneously. Now see the craft that is here.
The magnetometers and the other electromagnetic detectors at one point went on a complete lock-on for about 23 minutes
Let their energy pour into you.
without a break. I almost burned them out. These are actually, some of these are quite close. They look like they're far away. They're craft that are dematerialized that then materialize and signal briefly around us. This is Orion's sword and belt, and this is Rigel and Betelgeuse.
There's two of them.
Is that yet another frequency of
Yeah.
EM?
And of course, the Vedas and the ancient Sanskrit knowledge of the mantras and consciousness came from this sector. Look at this object, went straight up, not a falling star.
Right here, the beam right here. You can't hear me.
Oh,
Oh my God.
the book that we just came out with have these on them. There's a DVD that comes with the book. It's called Contact, Countdown to Transformation. And it has all of these cases in it up through 09. And the DVD has all these images on it that are through 09, not anything after that. We have to come out with a new one now, because by the time the ink was dry on the printing of that one, we had had so much more contact. It was beautiful. Now, at the last chapter of that book is my translation of the transmissions, because there was actually coded information coming from the Orion sector with these tones. And what I did was go into a state where I could understand it in sort of a binary language, and I spoke it. So that's the last chapter of the book. Now, this is an amazing event that happened. Let's do this one from the Outer Banks from 09. This was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. We were on the ocean, and we were making contact, and one of these objects, a huge one, unfortunately, this resolution is horrible, the contrast, but there's a craft here, and the night before, one had come into the ocean that literally lit up the whole sky and went into the ocean, and then following that, there was an object that appeared on the beach as a group. There were three. It was like a sea-setting triangle of lights, teal blue, amber, sort of golden color, and sort of a greenish color. And this craft dematerialized, came out of the ocean, and then materialized there with these beings for an spending a week with me is a frightful experience. Okay, now, shock and awe. Let's see, cosmic shock and awe. We did this one. We don't have time for all this, I'm sorry. We're going to have to skip through some. Oh, this is great. A few months ago, we were at Mount Shasta again. We're going to be up there at Labor Day this year if you want to join us. And there was this
Oh,
object
God, it's
that
very
came out
bright.
of the
Look at
mountain.
that.
Look how
Beauty.
brilliant. Now, this is a
And it has a
vertical
really
area.
bright- it's like a star now.
Very,
It's like
very
one of these
high.
stars.
That's a 14,000 foot peak. So it's
Look how
probably up
bright
about
that is.
12,000. And
see
these
it?
kept coming
Yeah.
from the mountain, and then in
Everybody
the
see it?
field around us, there would be
these
these
emerge
brilliant
in and out of
orbs
this,
and
and that
objects that
sheer-
we began
you know,
to
it's
film,
interesting,
and
they
the
chose that
ETs
area
moved
for
around
the
us. A number of people were actually touched on their shoulders and the top of their heads by the ETs as they were doing energy work and with folks. It's really beautiful how they make contact, and everyone saw this, of course. And when this is going on, there's a consciousness component of it where they're actually sending and transmitting energy and messages. This isn't just a light like a car headlight. This actually has cosmic consciousness and energy that's coming from the ETs to people, and people are very affected by it. Now, one thing I missed, Raven, was the let's see, the object from where is Boca Grande? That would have been BG. Here, let's just do this for a minute. This is very close, so we're going to be a little further south than this, but last year we went to an island called Boca Grande in Florida in February, exactly a year ago. Look at this. This is a still photograph, and this is a light being, ET, that comes and goes to this woman. I call it the cosmic spermatozoa. It looks like we're in meditation, and it actually goes through the group and into this woman and into her crown chakra. And these actually are going around the group doing energy work while we're doing this with these cosmic consciousness beings. Now, this is not a spirit being. You wouldn't get it on a photograph. This is an actual ET. You can see the energy as it's moving through. This is a few second time lapse, so you can see the motion of it very quick. This is a being that appeared on the beach. And look at it has two eyes, and it's a light being. With like a halo around it. Very, very advanced. And it was a reflected energy being that came out onto the beach with us. And when you see these things with your naked eyes, and it changes your life forever when you realize how many thousands of species there are who are connected with with the project, and who are interested in what we're doing here on Earth at this time. They're here to help and to understand, and we have to join with them. The cosmic forces all coming together. Let's see, I want to go to those of you who didn't. Oh, this is interesting. These images here. I showed some of these yesterday, but they're worth showing. And we went to the United Kingdom, to England, to the crop circles, and this object in the center, we're in the very center of a crop circle, appeared over, you can see how it kind of came in here, this is my head here, and it came in, and in a series of just a few seconds, Emery took these pictures, great pictures. These are no flash, regular high-speed setting. Here it is again. And this is extraterrestrial. They're not fully materialized, but we could all feel it, and our electronics were going off. One of them started going off in sort of a cadence, sort of a bum, bum, ba-bum, bum, bum, ba-bum, bum, bum, ba-bum. We recorded it. And this object stayed over my head for several seconds, and so he got several shots of it while these tones were going through the electronics while we were in the middle of this crop circle. So we're going to take a group there this year too, if you want to join us. It's an amazing thing, because we actually, during the day, we go out into the crop circles and I do remote viewing, teaching, and discussions, and at night we go back and do a puja and make contact while we're sitting in the middle of a crop circle in the middle of the night. It's the most amazing experience. And of course, we end up having helicopters and military jets coming overhead too, but look at this thing go. Isn't that cool? Watch. When you put it in sequence, boom, boom, boom. So, you know, he's stationary, and here this thing is. And what you find is that when you're doing this work, now this is the crop circle, not the one we were in just then, there's another one that appeared the night we arrived in England. And it's very complex, has a sort of a sea-setty motif with a triangle. We did our puja right about here. And in the very center of it, when we were there, the detectors we put in the very center of the vortex of this crop circle, and they started going off. And as they went off, then of course, Emery took some photographs, and there were all kinds of objects in the sky, a number of very strange, sort of chevron-shaped objects that were just at the point of materializing. And this was the same crop circle where we did several nights of our contact work at night. Not every night, but about half the nights that we were in England this past year, about 6 months ago. And we count in this one photograph, there were 12 of these. And the emotion that you feel when the ETs are there in such numbers and in such consciousness is beautiful. They're just emerging into from transdimensional reality, astral, into linear space-time. But remember, if you're going faster than the speed of light across millions of light years of space or thousands of light years of space, you're not using an Exxon fuel tank. And you're not using a solid rocket booster or the space shuttle. You're dealing with, it ain't your granddad's rocket and Oldsmobile, friends, and that's what we're talking about here. And learning the science of how these ETs are appearing and materializing and how you make contact and consciousness is important. Now here's the puja set. You can see there's a candle on it, and it sort of is glowing here. This is in the evening. He's using a high ISO, and the shutter's open for a few seconds. But this next picture is very important. What is this? No one had any blue lights on, and the candle's off by now. What's this guy? Comes out of linear, trans-dimensional space-time, comes through the crossing point of the fabric of linear space-time, and there's this sort of rod and energy form, and then this blue light over the puja table. These ETs are very drawn to the puja, the Sanskrit, and the mantras we're using, because they understand that we're reawakening the world to that ancient knowledge that's been lost. Here's a craft that appeared, and actually in Orange County, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, one of the days I'm going to do a puja, and we're going to go into the mantra meditation in great detail, and how it sets up the resonant field in consciousness so that you can transcend into unbounded mind. And once you're in unbounded mind, you can see any place in any dimension. And then you invite them to come by showing them your location, and they come. They may come in ways you don't expect, but they always come. Now look at, this is my arm. I'm pointing with my right finger to this. And Emery's so awesome because he listens to me. A lot of people won't listen. And he listens. And I said, there's a craft over here. And I was telling people I could feel in remote view and sense. So he takes a photograph. This is not retouched. This is daytime, normal fast speed, very good digital camera, Nikon something or other. And here's this ship. Now, it's not fully materialized. It's there in a transdimensional energy form, but it's there enough that you see it on a regular digital camera. So you can feel it, and you can see it, and you can hear them as well. So the mind, this is a journey in cosmic consciousness and cosmic space. And then these ETs come to us. Now we were at this beautiful, you can't tell if this was like a multi-dimensional cube. And while we were going in there, look who comes right here, right over that crop circle. Spherical object with some really strange sort of protrusions on it, very similar to the one from Wichita Falls, Texas in 1992, not exactly the same. And often when we're approaching an area, we do have a lot of military reconnaissance and choppers that are coming around us. There will be ET vehicles that are our guardian ships. These are guardian vehicles. And the National Reconnaissance Office satellites, the birds up there, day or night, pick these up, and they're going, holy Christ. So, right now, we're operating under certain restrictions. Now, this is a time lapse, so that you can see the laser it's in the field here. But what is this chevron-shaped thing here? So over this valley, we actually saw it. You can see in the picture, everyone's craning their neck. Now this is in Alton Barnes, England, and we're on an 1,800-acre farm that we have had permission to use since '92. We're going to go back there this summer, and on the top of it is this big knoll and hill where you can see the whole area. And this is at the epicenter of where the most incredible crop circles have appeared over the years, and not far from where the Sea-Seti Triangle, that one we showed you earlier. And this is floating right over the valley, very close to us, because this hill is not far away at all. And you see everyone's turned to look. This is another object that appeared right on the edge of the hill. It was a very large spherical craft. It wasn't fully materialized, so it could have been of any shape, but this was the energy signature of it as it was appearing in linear space-time.
What's the location of this?
Alton Barnes, England.
Do you ever see the actual craft itself instead of just the light?
Yes, this was, I don't know, you haven't been here, you may have just come in. There was a number of daylight ones that showed the craft. And yeah, of course we do. These were all seen with the naked eye also. And here's a chevron, and then this large object here, right over this next ridge. They're coming right through the edge of the crossing point of light. So when the craft are fully materialized in three-dimensional, of course they're metallic or what have you, they have a different appearance than these light ships. But remember, when they're in this form, they're much more easily, what can I say, able to dematerialize and go beyond the reach of an electromagnetic weapon. So a lot of people say, well, why don't they just shut all those systems down? Because then the secret government would say, see, it's the invasion of Earth, not just LA. The ETs are too smart to fall into, look at this, it's very interesting. And these are close. I mean, these are not far out into space. These are right in the region there, within a few thousand feet of us, low altitude. Now, in the course of doing this, one of the things we've learned is that the more coherent the group is, the more these objects come closer and closer. Now, how far they come into full linear materialization and where they would land or something has to do with the security of the world and what's being monitored. I can tell you that we're not going to be able to do this without being known. And I can tell you that these objects, if we're seeing them, they're being seen by the eyes in the sky by the National Reconnaissance Office satellite systems. So, you know, I asked the ETs to do whatever they're going to do in a way that's safe. There's no reason to do anything that would get anyone injured. And after what happened at Mount Shasta a few years ago, where that scalar weapon was fired across the bow of the ship and my group, I decided that, you know, the ETs, there's a time for everything. And someday we'll get all these weapon systems out of the hands of the people who should never have been allowed to have them. And we'll be able to, the ETs will be able to be more physically manifest. But what I tell people is that if you're awake and you understand that in your lucid astral body and conscious body that you can fly and float and go all throughout the cosmos, why can't the ETs do it? And then why can't you meet in that same space? And that's what we're doing. So it can happen on many levels: tone, light, physical manifestation, consciousness. Look at this object. And we're all in meditation. And this is right off the edge of the hill here. That's the edge of the hill we're on top of. It's a big flat meadow. Beautiful what's coming in. Okay, next, I don't know if there's the next. So we have to go to the next. Now, one of the things that is really unusual is no matter where in the world we go, the kind of phenomenon that keeps happening. And I wanted to just show a creststone. You saw this sort of triangular object that came to Shasta. We went up to Blanca Peak, and we're going to do this in June. There's a place in Crestone, Colorado we go to. It's a sacred mountain of the East for the Native American tribes of that part of the world. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. Sea-City Triangle. And this is only maybe a few feet from us. And it kind of appears, and it comes in and out. Now, what's interesting about that, this is the site that if you read the book, Contact Countdown to Transformation, is where we had 12 of the extraterrestrial elders from different star systems that in 1997 appeared and asked us to stand down the weapon systems and to do disclosure. And this is the exact same site. Now, this just happened about 9 months ago. And it's the exact triangular form of the crop circle, and it's the exact triangular form of the object that was at Mount Shasta about 2 years earlier. So this keeps happening, and it also happened at the Outer Banks last year. So we have these, and this is an actual craft that's there transdimensionally. If it materialized, it would have been a very large craft, I suspect. But the beings that were there on site were there in their etheric and astral bodies while these objects are appearing around us. Anyway, those are some of the images. I have the lights back up. Hope you enjoy those. So who has the lights? Which one? There are a bunch. Well, they were all materialized. They wouldn't be photographed if they weren't there. I'm not sure which one you're referring to. Well, we don't have time to go back through this because I'm told that we're kind of getting into the time limit of what we're supposed to do. But one of the things I want to do before we leave is have an opportunity for folks to ask questions, now just briefly, about a lot of this material, and the things that you need to know to go to the next level of contact, because that's what I really want all of you to learn to do, is to make the contact and to do. Now the meditations and all that stuff, I mean, it takes hours to go through that training, but those are all on the app, the iPhone app, and they're also all on the CSETI site. And what I think that folks have to understand is that as you go through that process, God loves those who work together, right? So it's great if you can do this with a group of people. So the reason for that is that if you understand the work of Dr. Bob John and others, when there's one person doing something in consciousness that's a higher state of consciousness, it has a certain effect. If there's two that are unified or love each other, it's an exponentially increase. It's not a linear. It's not like twice as much. So if you have a whole group, and this is the power when we do these expeditions where we have 20 people with us or 25 people, all in that state of higher consciousness, it creates a shift in consciousness in the area that is felt throughout the cosmos, because it reaches this point of non-linear acceleration. And so if you're doing this at home and you're wanting to do it, you can do it by yourself. And certainly a lot of people have and have had contact. But if you do it with other people that you have a coherence with and a love for and a friendship with, it creates a certain power. And also people feel safer. If you're out in the middle of the wilderness and you're by yourself and a craft, something like one of these flies in, some people get a little freaked out. And fear is the spirit killer and the mind killer. So it's very important if you're with other people, you can feel secure with each other. And and there's really no reason to be afraid anyway, but it's natural for humans to be a little freaked out when you have something like this approaching at a few hundred feet, and it's extraterrestrial and it's coming in. So I think that if you do this with 3 or 4 or 5 people that you're close with, it will have a huge effect in not only expanding awareness, but making you feel secure as you do the work, so you have friends with you there. So any questions? People have questions? Yes?
Yeah, you were saying that Sitchin was talking about, us being left here to be monkey slaves for the ETs that wanted gold. What's your philosophy and what do you think is the truth about that?
Well, certainly human civilization, there have been many civilizations here that predate Sumerian or what have you. Millions of years ago, there were Lemurians, and there were the Mu, and there was Atlantis, and I think those literally existed. In fact, there's a guy who works for the intelligence community who's actually given devices that the CIA and other intelligence officers find that are thousands to millions of years old. And he's asked to figure out how these work. Okay, so they've been around a long time. The extraterrestrial civilizations that have been involved with the Earth have been involved at different phases. Okay, so millions of years ago, I suspect there was a different civilization here than what we think of Homo sapiens. The modern era, what we have record of in the last 10,000 years, is really a teeny little tip of the iceberg of the existence of intelligent life on this planet. Earth has had life for 700 million years. And I can assure you that the objects, for example, on Mars, are in the hundreds of thousands to millions of years old. The pyramids and the objects that are on Mars. This I know to be a fact. Now, a lot of people say, why aren't those disclosed? And I tell people, well, there's a jet propulsion lab scientist who told me that if that was disclosed to exist, even though they're ancient, that it would collapse the orthodox belief systems of every organized religion on Earth. And I said, well, good. And he says, no, you don't understand. There's a lot of power in those groups. They do not want it known that there was a connection between the genesis of life on Earth and what had been on Mars and out there in other star systems. So, but no matter how you view it, I think we have to be careful not to sort of do an anthropocentric projection onto things that are in very old scriptures that may not be understood well. There's no reason to think that an interstellar civilization or interplanetary civilization would need to have anyone dig up gold for them. Okay, you know why? Because I know for a personal fact that some of the scientists I'm working with, that you can take some tin and another compound that I don't want to talk about and put it in a microwave at a certain setting and you can turn it into platinum or gold. You don't, so the idea, see, a lot of these ideas are based on a sort of very, I hate to use the word superstitious, religious thinking that has no foundation whatsoever in the science of an interplanetary civilization. If you understand the science of transdimensional travel, communication, metallurgy, how things are manifest, it becomes an absolute absurdity, the idea that any civilization would need to come to Earth for any material object, okay, including the genetic material. So I think that the problem becomes, you know, I tell people it's sort of like a cosmic Rorschach test, that, and another way of the old Vedic saying, the world is as you are, that if you have within yourself a certain fear paradigm and certain insecurities, you project that onto the ET presence, okay? And I think that's what's happened a lot. I think it says a great deal more about the people making these statements than about the reality historically or the reality currently. And that's what I think we have to examine the book of our own selves to understand how we're going to go forward. Because a lot of that baggage has to be kind of left behind. Because we're in a whole new era. And certainly civilizations that have the ability to do what you saw here and to materialize and dematerialize and appear. And you know, we were at Crestone last year and we were setting up our circle in this pristine sandy area near the Great Sand Dunes. And sitting right behind my chair was a double pyramid fluorite crystal that the ETs put there. Okay, and they materialized it there. Everyone saw it. Now, I mean, and what you have to realize is that they have no need to take anything from us. What they want is our love and conscious peace and cooperation and the transformation of our own civilization so that we don't destroy our planet or become a further threat to other planets. Because remember, these $2 trillion we spend in these classified projects have taken things from 1927 when T. Townsend Brown was doing high voltage experiments with anti-gravity, and that's, if you go to the orionproject.org, you'll see this, to things that can cross over into transdimensional weapon systems. And so that's what I mean when I say it's not just hydrogen bombs. There are other things that are classified where we become an existential threat to other worlds and to ourselves. And so I think that when we look even historically, there's no foundation to think that there was a civilization that needed to somehow have us digging up gold ore from them out of the ground when they can simply put in an electromagnetic system and manifest it. And that's exactly what I know people at the CIA have programs that have done that. So I think that if we have that in 20th century Earth technology, it's laughable to think that a civilization that's interstellar wouldn't have discovered those same sciences, you see? And so when you think about it, a lot of these sort of pejorative and fearful and xenophobic assessments are simply projections of our own cultural heritage of ethnic cleansing and racism and warfare and tribalism. And I think we have to check that for a minute and really think about this, so that we don't go stampeding into this future, dragging all that superstition and all that negativity. I think that what we have to say is that let's let that go with the dinosaurs, with the old world that's being folded up, and let's put all of our attention on the unfurling of this new world, a world of universal peace, free energy, travel amongst the stars, the ending of poverty on Earth, the creation of a sustainable civilization. And here's the good news. All of that is on the planet now. We don't have to invent it. We don't have to discover it. It's all here. We have to disclose it. We have to unveil it. We have to be the vector to bring it out. So I tell people, let's focus on that. And when we do that, if we take care of that, we're going to find the universe is going to open its arms wide for us. And these civilizations are going to be here in huge numbers, but they're waiting for that. They've been waiting for us to make this leap for 100 years, and now it's time.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the next one right here on the Best of Dr. Stephen Greer.